cool way to set my phone up here. This is just so ghetto. I'm straight ghetto. Sorry I'm late. Anybody in there? Is there anybody in there? Knock, knock, knock. Anybody home, McFly? Oh, sorry, Biff. I'll have your homework ready for you first thing tomorrow. I don't know if this is going to work out because I'm going to trip over this thing. I mean, don't mind me. I'm just I'm just another crazy flat earther. So I'll do this like this and that, and then right over there, and here we go. Yep. I have one lurker. It looks like one lurker who's failed to identify themselves. And that's fine. On the outside looking in. You have a beautiful day, not a chemtrail in the sky. Beautiful blue skies with a chance of tic-tac-toe. That's the weather forecast for now. The cavalry charge. The cavalry call. We've been living in a flat ass world. Everything's been inverted and turned upside down. This shit ain't a ball, but it might be round. I love that when people come at you, they're like, well, Earth isn't flat, it's round. I'm like, how does that? You never seen like a round table before? Never seen like a round plate or a round pizza? So stupid. Zox, nice to see you. I haven't seen you lately. Nice. Lev, two people I haven't seen lately. And there's a third lurker out there somewhere. Nice to see you. Thanks for coming. Love it. It puts a smile on my face. Earth isn't flat, it's round. You know what? I'm going to one-up you and say Earth is flat and round. What? Yeah, because you see the word round doesn't necessarily mean spherical. You know what's funny when these guys get put on the spot like Neil deGrasse, and these clowns like that. Like I think there was that one interview where like they're asking Neil deGrasse like, what color is the sky? Blue. What? All these obvious questions, and they're like, what shape is the Earth? And he's like, round. And like they I know they're smarter than that. You know what I mean? I know they're capable of specifying the shape. Round isn't necessarily specifying the shape. But they're trying to like sort of weasel, being weaselly about it. It's like, instead of just being like, it's a ball, they're going to say it's round. It's like, well, that doesn't necessarily mean it's not flat then, Duh. That's what these guys do. They're just gaslighting us. They're like fucking, it's like flat Earth is kind of controlling the narrative as far as like space and the whole like fucking Neil deGrasse world, where they're like fucking, where they have this dude, it's like, it's just some sort of like cool, smooth talking jazz, black man who's like going around. He's like smooth talking people into the globe, It's like his whole job is basically to fucking deflect from flat Earth. I mean, is that not obvious to everyone? He's like, you don't see the curvature from this 2 inches above this beach ball. That shit's flat. Thanks. Yes, it is flat. And we don't live on a beach ball. That would be rather awkward. I think we've sufficiently deflated that beach ball. It's like flat. thing ain't. They don't have enough hot air to fill that thing back up again. Let's put it that way. They've tried. It's been popped, deflated, and they don't have a patch. It's fucking toast. The thing's gone. It's flat. Won't be reinflated. That hot air balloon burst. Super Sidewinder, nice to see you, man. I was wondering where my sidewinding sidekick is. Super Sidekicker. Super Side Busting Side. I'm sorry. I'm just always like playing with words. Mr. Super! What's up, Justina? Nice to see you. Mr. Super Duper! Where's Mrs. Supercalifragilistic? She used to come into my saloon every once in a while. I saw that she subbed to me again finally. Supercalifragilisticexpialidocious, even though the sound of it is something quite atrocious. Whoever thought of that shit must have taken one too many doses. Isn't the Bible a trip? I've been thinking about it a lot. It's like this collection of works. There's not just written by one author, there's like all kinds of people that contributed to it. But the Old Testament, like at least the first two books, I think were written by Moses, allegedly. Genesis and Exodus. Exodus was definitely written by Moses. I don't know if it says that about Genesis in the Bible, but it says Exodus written by Moses. I think it's what it says about it. And he's like the main character in Exodus, leading the Israelites out of Egypt. And like, I just always found it to be kind of interesting that he's the author of the book. The one, the only, the special, the knowledgeable man who wrote the book. He was the one, the only, the person who wrote the fucking book. And he's the main character in the book, right? And he's the guy that saves the day. He's a big hero that talks to God and fucking he has to like fucking, on a couple different occasions, he has to like sort of like mitigate God's anger and like has to sort of calm him down. He's like, okay, God, please don't kill all these people. I mean, they mean well, we've been starving in the desert for 40 years. I mean, kind of go easy on them, Well, that's what ended up happening. But they were like, it's taken forever for them to get to their homeland, Israel or whatever, this alleged place in the Bible. And the people started complaining after a while. They're like, man, we should have just stayed in our shackles and fucking, at least we had food and water and a roof over our head. I don't know. It doesn't say that that's what they were saying, but they were getting miserable and they were like, are we ever going to get there? And they were complaining a lot, and it pissed off God, Lord God. I got to be specific. It pissed off Lord God, and who I think maybe is just a completely different character than God, the one that I pray to. Anyways, pissed him off, and he was like, you know what? He was gonna like kill him or something, but then Moses was like, no, can't kill these people. Please don't. And so God agreed to just like, he was like, basically, none of these people are going to make it there. That's it, period. They're not going to make it to where they're going. Their kids will. So it's like, after 40 years, all these people that have been complaining when trying to get somewhere, they died. They never made it there, but their offspring did. That's brutal. That's fucking brutal. If I remember correctly. I mean, I read the book when I was maybe about 15 years ago. Like, Moses was given the exact instructions how to build the tabernacle. It's like specific measurements. All this like ritualistic shit. He got the 10 Commandments, and God appeared for him. He could go to speak with God, and it was like this big pillar of fire. Lord God, I got to keep specifying that. and it wasn't like a pleasant thing really for those watching. It was like, man, it's kind of scary, you know. It's like the fear of God kind of thing, Lord God. And the story's told by Moses, though. It's like I always try to put myself like in a position where I'm like, you know, there at the time, and like, and this is what's being presented to me. Like this dude tells me the story, like what happened, you know, and like, and then I talked to God, and then I calmed him down, and then told him not to kill everybody, and then he agreed not to, and just imagine if you were there listening to Moses telling you the story, and it's like it sort of is like kind of hard to believe, you know what I mean? It's like, how do we know Moses didn't have psychosis? Well, at any rate, it's fucking like embedded in history now. It's like, although people want to discredit the Bible and say it's a joke or it's a story, it's just a bunch of stories, and it's like, how could that be possible? It's not real. It doesn't really jive with what we experience here as reality in our waking life today. Yet at the same time, we see like on a repeating, we repeatedly see evidence of what the Bible tells as being reality, and we see science, attempting to cover it up or like not talk about it, not address it, or just completely obfuscate from it. Like it's like there's evidence of the flood being real. That's what the mud. I think that's what the mud flood's all about. The mud flood narrative. The whole mud flood thing, which I'm fascinated by, and which I think is definitely they're onto something. And I think what they're onto basically is that there's evidence of the flood having not been that long ago, or at least a big, because it's not like the world was flooded with mud. That's just what it looked like after the flood, after the flood, after the water settled back down or went wherever it went. Because I mean, it's evident that there was flooding in like just about every major city, like in the United States, everywhere, in these places that have the windows on the ground and like, they're all bricked in windows, or they're like fucking, there's just so much evidence of some weird shit, like that's like where there's stories about how they raised the street level because of the sewer, because the, it's like raised the street level and buried houses that were already, that doesn't make why in fuck would that ever happen? That's just like, I have a hard time believing, like, can you imagine that? Okay, we're gonna raise the street level. You guys gonna have to forfeit your first floor of your house, or your whole house if you don't have more than one floor. Everybody had to build a second story. What the fuck, dude? That is so weird. It doesn't make any sense. So I think there's evidence of the flood having been not that long ago, also, which is like interesting. Or a flood, at least. It doesn't have to be the flood, but there's evidence of a flood having happened for sure. And I don't think science really is like trying to make that be, the science narrative or whatever. I don't think we have ever been taught by science that there was a big flood that flooded the whole world. I don't think that's never been something that science has proclaimed. Maybe there was smaller floods and stuff, and of course, yeah. But like if you go like about a half hour from my house, right where I live here in the mountains, I think we're about 800 feet elevation above sea level in Santa Cruz Mountains. If you go towards Santa Cruz, you're still in the mountains. There's a spot called Scotts Valley. It's like the elevation's a little lower. It's maybe like 500 feet, maybe. But it's like you can go hiking. The elevation gets pretty high when you go up to this spot that I'm talking about. There's like a dry riverbed you can go hike up in. It's probably closer to 800 feet there too, actually. But there's shark teeth you can go hunt for. Like there's kids go on field trips out there, and I mean I just went out there hiking with some friends and showed me, but it's like there's fucking shark teeth all up in this dry riverbed, like lots of them. I mean you're never gonna go there and not find any. There's that many of them. There's shark teeth. It's unmistakable. Like, what the fuck are they doing at that elevation, all buried in the dirt and stuff? And it's just like, what? I mean, okay, so the water level was 800 feet higher. That would lead you to believe that like a good portion of the world was underwater. Got just that one little discovery right there. It's like, wait, the ocean was up to this level? Can you imagine if the ocean like was? I consider Earth to have one ocean. One big drink, the big drink. And if it was 800 feet higher than it is now, that'd put a lot of people out of whatever. That would I would end a lot of places. I would put a lot of people underwater, like probably a good percentage of the world, really. I mean, there's plenty of mountainous areas, but it's like there's plenty of areas that are like, within between 1,000 feet and sea level. I think it would probably wipe out a majority of the world, more than half. Yeah, but to think that that book hadn't been used as a, as a tool of manipulation, I mean, do you really think that, because I mean, things like that are handed down to us from, it's top down. I mean, it's like we, I mean, apparently, according to history, the church had the book, you know, and they weren't letting people have the book for a long time. They would read to you out of the book, and you would just, you know, turn to them for that teaching. They wouldn't let you take it home and like fucking study it yourself. And then finally, like after like having it all to themselves for like 1,500 years or something, they finally said, okay, we'll let you have it. So what were they busy doing with it the whole time? It's like, by the time they finally were like, okay, now you guys can have it. It's like, did you add something, take something out, or like, did you completely like thoroughly edit the whole thing to remove certain information that was pertinent to like, you know, is it the whole thing a fucking sham? I mean, like, what exactly were you doing keeping it from people like that for so long? Like, I mean, clearly it was used as a tool of manipulation at one point. Obviously, that's pretty much goes without saying. But like, as far as just like keeping it secretive for so long and then being like, okay, now you can see it. Like, what the fuck's that all about? What did you do? What did you do to it? Uh, yeah, I mean, I believe in God. I pray to God. And I've seen God act in my life, and there's evidence of that all the time. And it just seems to be like an obvious. It's like how it's like to think that there's no God or there was no creator. Basically, that it's just like fucking dude. You're just taking so much for granted at that point, and you're just like, okay, so this happened on accident, or there was no like purpose. It's just like it's a buzzkill, and it's just like kind of fucking difficult to really to take that seriously. I mean, but that's what science is attempting to do. Oh, this all happened on accident. I think science was originally just supposed to be like the explanation of how God's creation works, or an attempt to break it down and understand it better. But like, you know, now it's become like this replacement for God and the creator. And it's like, I don't think that's not a good thing. I don't think that's what we should allow it to be. But then, we discover flat Earth and we realize, well, that's the cosmology the Bible teaches. Interesting how we've been taught that that's retarded and like it's completely steered away from that reality, throughout our lives. I mean, like I was saying yesterday, it's like the surface level. It's like if you're just gonna be like flat Earth is dumb, you guys are dumb. It's so stupid, and then just leave it at that, and like never bother like. And while there's millions of people around the world, I'm assuming millions of people, maybe even just in our country in the United States. Like I know not all even from the United States, but like here in this, we have like 300 million people, and I think there's probably at least a million people that maybe more that are flat earthers at this point. Do you really think that's just indicating that many dumb people, that are just like, okay, dude, like every one of us is just retarded, and we just fail to see like the reality of like for me, like I just when you look at something that's like growing like that, that's remaining, it's not like we're not dropping off, numbers. It's not like this fad that came through. It's like a bunch of contrarians or like punks, or just people that were like duped into some cult thing or whatever. It's like that kind of shit eventually dies off. It doesn't last 9 years and then continue growing and growing and growing to the point where it's like celebrities and like it's being discussed on mainstream, shows. Like that's not like the quiet little thing anymore. And and like to just assume that it's just a bunch of idiots, you know, that don't know what the fuck they're talking about, and yet they keep acquiring more and more numbers, and like none of them are like snapping out of it, you know, none of them go back to the globe. It's like to really think that that's all just a bunch of idiots just being like, it's like for me, I would just be like, well, there's got to be something to this, you know, like why in the fuck would that many people think this? And clearly we've been to space and and all the planets are round. Why wouldn't we be round? Round isn't spherical. And all the planets, have you been there? Have you looked at them? Well, we have pictures of. No, you don't. Have you been there? Have you looked at them? Flat earthers are the people that finally realize that we can't prove this shit ourselves. We have to accept information as being truth. Information that's, if you think about it, it's impossible for anyone to verify. So therefore, it's impossible for anyone to really know. Like the distance to Polaris, it's however many light years. How could you fucking know that? You know, I mean, like, that is an assumption. It's not a fact. So if we're dealing with a bunch of assumptions, you know, like I remember thinking before to myself when I'd heard about the three body problem. This was long before Flat Earth. I heard about the three body problem, and I remember thinking like, wow, that's crazy. We don't know how it works, but we just know that it does. That's what we're trained. You know what I mean? It's like that's what I thought as a globe believer, someone who's just like, you know, 100% like, yeah, that's what the world is, obviously. And then hearing about the three body problem and just being like, well, that's interesting how we can't simulate a computer. It's like, it's interesting we can't figure out how it works, but I mean, but obviously it does, so there you go. Maybe we'll figure it out someday, but obviously it does work. You know what I mean? That's like, what's people deflect to that, you know, when they come across stuff that's like, oh, well, it's the impossible eclipse. I mean, there's no way that could be happening. Okay, well, like moving right along. It's like, hello, no, it's not the eclipse that's impossible because you're fucking looking at it. It's the fucking dumb model that's impossible. Hello? Everything's backwards, man. It's so fucking annoying. That's why I'm Dr. Bass backwards, because I'm actually forwards. Shout alone, what's good? Oh yeah, 75. I'm a year of the rabbit. I'm a rabbit Gemini. It's like telling someone you're a speed freak. Oh, you're a split personality that likes to hump and is like fucking thinks he's super fast and confident and fucking actually sucks. Loses a race. I wanted to get a tattoo when I was younger of two cartoon rabbits on rockets. It's so funny that I wanted to do that. One of them was tied to the rocket, like, you know, like the Acme rocket, whatever, that gets launched into space, like Bugs Bunny or whatever, you know. And he's like, he's tied to the rocket. And then the other bunny, it was like the bunny rocket. That's like, I thought that was so funny for some reason. The other bunny had cut the ropes and was riding the rocket, and he had like a cigar in his mouth and a cocktail or whatever. Yeah, having fun, you know. I was like, that seemed to be like an expression of who I was. Like, I came up with this idea. I was like, that's what I want to get tattooed. I never got a tattoo, but like, I thought I was pretty clever back then. Like, you're the rabbit, you know, Gemini. It's like, here's the two rabbits. One's being forced to take this ride, you know, through life, just like hating and like tied to the rocket, just going, you know, I'm gonna die. And the other one is like, well, fuck this, I'm having fun, you know. This is fun. This is cool. But yeah, tattoos. I don't know. I never. I'm kind of got a phobia of needles. But here's my idea. I want to get a big tattoo on my back. No, here's what I want to get a tattoo of. You guys already hear this joke. I think I'm so funny. I want to get a big tattoo of me looking at myself in the mirror at my new tattoo of me looking at myself in the mirror at my new tattoo of me looking at myself in the mirror at my new tattoo of me looking at myself in the mirror at my new tattoo, you know, sort of like larger than life, kind of like this whole reality was just about my tattoo. That would take a long time. It's a good phobia, isn't it? Yeah, it saved my life. They got people like fucking dialed in to be like fucking on the vaccine treadmill. It's like they basically brainwashed everyone to be a fucking junkie. It's like always anticipating your next shot, you know? It's while you're in the middle of getting one. You know? It's not good, man. I've been around junkies before. I've never, like I said, a phobia of needles, but you know, I've hung out with all walks of life. Let's put it that way. And that shit creeps me out, man. And it's like that's basically the mentality, always anticipating the next shot. I can't imagine living like that. This is so gross. Yeah, and that's what they got people dialed into thinking. It's like I was in Safeway last night. I was in there for maybe like 15 minutes getting some groceries. During that 15 minutes, like you know, they have like music or like commercials, like it's like you know Safeway ads and stuff, you know. But it's like all they were talking about was vaccines. It's like get your hepatitis B vaccine, and then we have you know screenings for vaccines, and come get your vaccines and health vaccine. And it's like vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. And by the time I left Safeway, I probably heard the word vaccine like maybe 30 times. I was only in there for a few minutes. You know, it's like, dude, does anybody else notice that this is like we're kind of on a loop here? Like, I mean, poor people that work there. I mean, they must have dreams like vaccine, vaccine, vaccine. It's fucking insane, dude. I mean, it's so blatantly like just like kind of like, why is that the only thing you're pushing here? Like, this is a grocery store, and you guys are trying to kill me. Like every time I go in there, you want to stick me with a needle, you know, or a series of needles. And it's like you could probably go in there every day and just have a bunch of needles stuck in you if you wanted to, and they just wouldn't even fucking hesitate. You're like, weren't you in here yesterday? Yeah, I want some more. Okay, here you go. We get this one, that one. Here's a series. Here's shingles, and they're great. It's all about health. It's all about health. Staying healthy, right? You want to be healthy? You better get a bunch of shots. Is that my cat? It's like a mating call. Yeah, get your free flu shots. Ah. It's as free as a bird flu jab. And it comes with the 15% discount on your grocery tab. Oh, yeah, it's the best fucking deal that you had. Sorry, that was annoying. But seriously, it's like, I give you this commercial, and it's like, get your vaccine, this, that, vaccine, 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 this and that. And then at the end of the ad, it's like, and get 10% off your grocery purchase. You know, it's like, oh, wow. So you're going to bribe people to jab needles in them. That's great. So it's not like you have to pay for them. You actually make money. You save money getting healthy. I mean, what could go wrong? Bribing people, just bold as fuck. Just it's like, oh, you might not feel like getting a bunch of needles in you, but you'll save some money. Oh, well, it's free and you save money. Well, I guess I'm over my whole needle phobia because I love money. And I love being healthy. Oh, did you see my shot commercial? Oh, I love you. I'm so glad that people actually go through the trouble to look through my old videos. It's so cool. You saw my shot commercial. That's my channel got deleted for that. But I have it on my other channels, you know. I have a few channels. The other one is just plain Dr. Bass backwards, and then I have one that's called Astronauts Are Full of Shit. I have like 10 subs or something. think it might be on that channel, actually. I left a link for it. Or maybe it's on this channel, I forget. But it's like, yeah, are you ready? It's like got this like happy, upbeat music. This is your shot. Don't miss it. I just totally winged it too. It's like I know exactly how they sound, you know. It's like, and then they throw in all the side effects at the end, you know, including death. Super rare, but you should do it just in case. It's all about just in case. It's just in case, and you should cover your face just in case. This sounds like shit. I'm really like, I'm so due for strings. And you should shelter in place just in case. Stay 6 feet away from me just in case. Just in case. No. Just in case. Don't you want to be safe? Just in case. Time for you to go and get another jab. Just in case. Just in case. Don't you worry about those adverse events. Those are super rare and probably won't happen to you. So you better just go do what we say to be safe. Just in case. Don't you worry about that Dallas palsy. That's just part of you getting safe. And besides, you are covering your face anyway, and you are not around anyone, so nobody will know. It's okay, it's nothing to be ashamed of. At least you're safe. Don't you worry about the newscaster who fell over backwards on his ass and died. That was just a case of SADS. And you know that SADS is out there and it's coming to get you, so you better do what we say. Don't be sad, just be safe. Just in case. Just in case. Just in case. You gotta do all these things to be safe. You can never be too safe. You can never be too afraid. Why don't you want to be safe just in case? You better swallow your defiance and follow the science. Just in case. Out here on the edge, I can see the valley below, where the ocean once flowed. Out here on the edge, I can see the other side. The valley is wide. Out here on the edge, we dangle our legs off of the ledge. Out here on the edge, you better leave before the sun disappears, or you'll never find your way out of here. Out here on the edge, no one in the world has a clue what happened to you. Out here on the edge. Took almost a day to climb, with no idea what we would find. Out there on the edge, you're alone with your thoughts. That's when you get lost. Out here on the edge, I've seen and heard a lot of things. I've seen people beg, I've heard people scream. Out here on the edge, you could end it all with one fall. I almost fell. It's so rigged up. There we go. There we go. That works. You guys know the story to this song. I think I've told the story numerous times. I've told my story. You remember the story for my song I just played? Out here on the edge. You want to hear it? You want to hear my cool story? I have stories to tell. No? No, you don't want to hear my story? Well, fuck you guys. I'm going to tell it anyways. When I was about 21 years old. That song is a true story, by the way. Okay, we have a yes. All right, good. Fantastic. When I was about 21 years, I just turned 21 when I did the John Muir Trail out in the it's part of the Pacific Crest Trail. I've done about 500 miles of the Pacific Crest Trail. I did 2 different hikes. They're month-long hikes. I did the Tahoe Yosemite Trail one year, and the next year I did the John Muir Trail. So I've hiked from Yosemite, or from Lake Tahoe all the way down to Mount Whitney. It's like close to 500 miles. Wish my ears would stop popping. And in the second hike, the John Muir Trail, that's the hike that really had an impact on my life. Like, it really changed the way I see the world. It was just a way thing. We had a lot of stuff happen to us out there that was really life-changing. And that's what that song's about that I just played. But we had been hiking. That song's about a particular part of the hike where we were on like the last leg of the journey. We had probably about 10 days from the final destination, and we were about 5 days from our food drop, the second food drop. You had people come, your friends, you know, that were like because you're on a schedule. You have to get permits to go out there, and it's like, so you're going to be passing through certain areas where there's like access to the civilized world, and you get food. People come and meet you there, and they drop it off. So you have to stay on schedule so you don't miss your food drop. And because you can't carry a month's worth of food on your back, it's just too heavy. And so, God, this is so irritating. Anyways, we're about 5 days from our last food drop, and we're out in this area. It's like a little bit north of Onion Valley, which is way the fuck out there. Anyways, we're not anywhere near civilization. Like 5 days from getting access to civilization, and we'd run out of food. There was 5 of us, and we'd basically run out of food. And we had like some dehydrated mashed potatoes left amongst all of us, and it was like not enough to last 5 days at all. And so we were forced to live off the land, which is fortunate for us. Like I don't know why we planned so poorly, but the thing is, there was fish everywhere. There's the lake. There's like all these landlocked fish. There's like every day you hike past like numerous lakes. You go over these huge passes where you could see forever, and there's just lakes. I mean, it just seems like the whole world is like this extreme fucking granite croppings and cliffs and just these massive. You get up on these passes when you go over, and you can just see for hundreds of miles in every direction. It's just nothing but these huge granite faces. It's like Yosemite, but just everywhere. It's insane. You're like, well, fucking mankind will never conquer this area. It's way too extreme. There's never going to be a sprawling city in that area. It's just not possible. And so you run out of food out there. There's plenty of fish to eat, and we had a fishing pole. So even if we didn't have a fishing pole, we would have been able to catch fish because there were so many of them, and they were like landlocked, little teeny bodies of water with like fucking just fish jumping. And so we ate fish for 5 days, and it was super easy to catch them. We never had a problem catching them. We were like, I'm hungry. Okay, well, let's stop at this next lake and get some fish and cook them. Get full, and there was wild onions growing everywhere too. So we had onions, and we basically had fish and chips for a little while. But then we ran out of potatoes, and it was good. It kept us nourished, and we felt fine. I mean, granted, we were all like jonesing for some food. Like that's all you could think about. Like before I went on that hike, I was like, I had been a vegetarian for a couple of years because I felt like I felt like a hypocrite eating meat. I was like, I don't think I could kill an animal to eat meat. And, it's when you have everything at your fingertips, like you do when you're in the civilized world, like you're just becoming separated from the act of like actually getting the food. Like the slaughtering of an animal. You just eat a burger. You don't have to deal with any like the reality of it, like where you're killing this animal. Like, because I love animals, But so I always felt like a hypocrite eating meat, and I just thought like most people are hypocrites. So they'll eat meat, but they probably wouldn't go kill a cow, And but then when I was out there starving, that all changed. I had no problem. I was dreaming about it because there was wild grouse flying everywhere. There's like basically chickens, And I'm just like, oh, I want me some chicken right now. Sharpening spears, hunting these birds. And none of them, we didn't catch any chicken, basically, grouse. We wanted to, we tried. We hunted, like basically when we weren't busy fishing and hiking, we were hunting grouse, but we never caught one. They're too quick. But like, I mean, my whole like thing about loving animals and like, thinking I could never kill an animal just to eat, that went out the window. Like that was just gone. And like, I didn't even think about the fact that I used to think that way. I was just like hungry. I wanted some fucking food, and I looked at those birds. I saw food. I wasn't thinking, oh, I love animals. I was thinking, I want to eat that fucking thing. I'm hungry. And it's just like, I changed, I was like, I realized it later when I got back. I'm like, well, I don't feel guilty about eating meat now. I realize that I actually will. I do have it in me if I need to. It's a totally different reality. Once you realize that. I mean, if you're sensitive about that kind of thing, I've had that vegan dude that's a truther. He hates me. He made a video about Dr. Bass. He's a snake in the grass or some shit. Called me a psycho because I eat meat. I tried sharing that story with him, and like he just didn't listen to it. In one ear, out the other. Anyways, so we were during this period of time where we were out of food, we were living off fish. There was one day where we hadn't seen any other people out there for like days. We hadn't seen anyone out there for days. God, my ears keep popping. It's so annoying. It's so hard to talk like this. My voice is like it's all echoing in my head. You know what I mean? I fucking hate that shit. But I'm gonna try to muscle through this. So we came over this pass one day, and it was just a beautiful, clear sky, and we could see this beautiful view. And there was a mountain off to the left. The trail goes down this way, and we could see this big mountain off to the left, and it's like it looked closer than it was, and it looked super easy to climb to the top of it. We're like, man, it was so inviting. It's like you couldn't look at that mountain and be like, not want to climb it, So we're like, we were ahead of schedule already, so we were thinking like, because we were like barging. We wanted to get to our food drop. We were fucking hurting. And so we were like ahead of schedule a couple of days. So we're like, well, why don't we just spend a day? There's a little lake below the mountain over there. We're like, we have to hike off the trail a little bit, but we'll just go camp at that lake, eat some fish, climb up the mountain in the morning, and then come back down and get back on the trail. And which is what we did. And we went over and, set up camp, ate some fish, got up in the morning, ate some fish, and then proceeded to climb up this mountain that looked like it was mostly like sand from a distance, but it ended up being huge boulders. We were like, it's like boulder hopping. It was super easy and it wasn't very dangerous. We get to the top of this mountain and there's a bunch of people up there. There's like 5 or 6 foreigners. They didn't speak English and they're all kind of like awkward and weird. And there was a book that, like a metal encased book that you could sign in. It turns out it's like the 5th highest peak in the lower continental United States. We had no idea. It's called Split Mountain. It's like 14,000 feet elevation. So we signed the book, we're all up there smoking pot and woo, this is so fun. This is so cool. It's the most incredible view I've ever seen. And like what I realized when we got up there is that we were pretty close to the Owens Valley, which is like, there's this valley that stretches up through California between the Sierra Nevada. And it's just this vast plain, just flat plain. It's all like, sand. And it's just desert, like, and then the Sierra Nevada juts up again. Like we're up on the western side of it, and then you see Owens Valley. We're like right above Owens Valley. I had no idea that we were right above the valley, like we're out on the edge of the Sierra right there. I had no idea until we went up that mountain and looked off, and we could see down there in the valley, Owens Valley. It's just like this vast valley that just goes and goes and goes and goes, and I could see how it went south. It just goes as far as you could see, and then eventually you see the Sierra Nevada jut back up again towards Nevada, and it just goes boom. It just juts up out of nowhere, just and just fucking continues all rocky. So it's like we're standing on this rocky precipice, like, and then the valley, and it just goes. I mean, it's like the earth is flat. You could see so much from up there. You could see this flat plain that just goes forever, and then the Sierra Nevada juts back up, and it's like at eye level, way like hundreds of miles that way, and I didn't think about it so much at the time, but that's where the ocean used to be. Because California used to be an island. Like we weren't taught that in school, but if you look at old maps, you'll see that California used to be an island. And I think that's where the ocean used to be, right there in between the Sierra Nevada. Because it just makes sense when you see it. Like looking back on it now, like I'm just like, it's so obvious. That used to be ocean right there. This is this flat area, and that's like right where that's how California used to be shaped like an island. And it's like the water receded and left that big valley right there. It was a trip. It was the most incredible view. If you could see what the view that I saw there, you would realize, oh yeah, California used to be an island. Trippy. Because that valley just leads all the way down to Mexico, and that's where the water is. San Bernardino, and then down to Mexico. Sea of Cortez. So yeah, it was an incredible view. While we were up there, we saw a golden eagle. We were like standing looking off the ledge, like 14,000 feet up, and this fucking bird flew by. It had to have had like a fucking, it looked like a 20-foot wingspan. I don't know if it was that big, but it looked fucking enormous. It looked like we could have jumped down onto it and flown away. and it was just like the sun was shining down on it, and its wings were glistening gold. It was just golden. It looked like gold, you know. It was just like, well, that's obviously a golden eagle. This just couldn't be anything else. We all saw it. We're like, holy shit. None of us got a picture of it, but it was just like one of the most beautiful birds I've ever seen. It's crazy. It was so big and just golden. It was just shimmering gold. It was the most beautiful looking thing. Incredible. And anyway, so we had to get down off the hill because it took us longer to get up there than we thought. And we still had to pack up and get back on the trail, you know. And so we had to get out of there before the sun went down. By the time we got down to our camp and got back on the, and you know, get packed up and then got back on the trail, it was already towards the end of the day, and we didn't make it that far that day. We hiked a little bit further down the trail and set up camp by this river. But before we got down to the river, we ran into this ranger, and he's like this kind of shorter, like sort of hippie, like long hair, beard, kind of skinny, kind of hippie dude. And he was the one ranger on the whole hike that actually asked to see our permits. We've seen several rangers while we were out there, and we showed him our permits, and he's like, "Cool, you guys are good." And then he was hiking the other direction, so we parted ways, and he had like a day pack on, so we all took note of like, oh, he must be camping around here somewhere because you couldn't make it that far out there with just a day pack. Like, you know, he had to have had a camp somewhere around there. And so we went down and set up our camp and by the river and caught some fish and ate, and we were sitting there by the fire talking about shit. And it was dark at that point, and this ranger, the same ranger that was walking down by the creek, walking by, he's like, "Hey, what's up, guys?" And we're like, "Hey, what's up, man? You camping over here too?" You know, it's always the ranger guy from earlier. And he's like, "No, I got a camp like a couple miles up this way." We're like, "Couple miles? What are you hiking in the middle of the night for, man? That's crazy. You're crazy. Why don't you come stay here at our camp with us, man? You don't want to hike at night." You know, it's like a thing, like a motto. Like you don't hike at night in the Sierra Nevada. You're fucking nuts. There's cliffs. There's there's bears. I mean, there's like all kinds of reasons why you don't want to hike at night in the Sierra Nevada. You kill yourself. It's stupid. It's a dumb thing to do. You don't do it. But he was like, "Oh no, a couple more miles." We're like, "What are you thinking?" You know, like, you're the ranger. We like tried to invite him over to our camp. "Why don't you just stay here with us tonight? We'll make a fire. You'll stay warm. We got some fish. You know, don't risk it." He's like, "No, I'm cool. You know, thanks though. I appreciate it." He saw him kind of hesitate, like maybe I should, you know. But like he decided to keep going, and we're like, "All right, whatever." And you know, so like we finished our hike, right? And, you know, 5 days later, no, 5 days later we got our food drop, and then another 5 days to Mount Whitney, and we were about 10 days from the end of the hike at that point. But we all got back home, and we had all been contacted by the Forest Service Department or whatever, the forest detective. It was a detective that had contacted each one of us, and you know, we didn't have a chance to communicate with each other before we got the phone call. We all got the phone call, and they were interviewing us about that ranger because he went missing, and it turns out we were the only people that had permits to be out there in that area during the time that he went missing. And they explained him, and he fit the description. He was pretty easy to describe, the guy, you know. And but we all said, yeah, we saw him, you know, and we actually tried to invite him to our campground. He was hiking at night like a crazy guy. And he told the whole story, like, and they asked if we saw any other people out there while we were out there. And we're like, yeah, that same day we saw him. We saw these other foreigners that were at the top of Split Mountain. They weren't very friendly. They didn't speak English. I don't think they killed them or anything, but it was just interesting how they asked if we saw any other people, and we actually had seen people, and apparently they didn't have permits. But so the dude went missing. It was crazy. And my friend, one of the guys that I was backpacking with out there, who's no longer with us, God rest his soul, Doug. He would go down there every year with his family down to Yosemite, and he would inquire about that ranger because it was just like this mystery, you know, and never got any closure on it. We're just like, so the dude just went missing. It's just like crazy. He just disappeared. And like, you know, he went down there every year for like 10 years or something with his family, and you know, never got any closure on it. And then maybe like this is like another 10 years ago, I was out in Big Sur Hot Springs. The Sykes Hot Springs are like, it's like a 10-mile hike out from the coast. and you have to park at the Big Sur Ranger Station there, and then hike 10 miles. Sykes Camp, Sykes. And there's these hot springs. They're like 110 degrees, and it's right on the side of this river, this gorge. It's beautiful. It's like one of my favorite spots in the world. And there's not that many people out there because it's my ears, man, they're driving me nuts. It's so annoying. So that's why it's fun out there, is because there's not that many people. And one time I was out there with some friends, and we ran into this dude who's like an avid backpacker. He was like some older dude, and we were talking about our adventures backpacking, you know. And he found out I did the John Muir Trail, and he's like, "Oh, me too. I do that trail often, you know." And it's like wow, that's to do that trail often, you must be like in pretty good shape, you know. And we started talking about all the cool places we know about on that trail, and you know, we're just sharing experiences and stories. And he started telling me the story about this ranger that he knew that went missing out there. And you know, at first I was just hearing the story, you know, and then I was like, oh wait, was this way back in 19, you know, like 96 or something? I think this was the year. And he's like, yeah. And I was like, in the area, like just north of Onion Valley, and you know, and ended up, I was like, dude, that's the ranger that went missing. Like, fucking, I was like, we're the last people that saw that guy. And he's like, that was you guys? Because he knew the whole story. And like, apparently we were like in the, you know, the guy's obituary or whatever, you know, the last backpackers that saw him, you know, whatever. I'm like, yeah, that was us. And I was like, well, we never knew what happened to him. He just disappeared. And like, so we're like famous, you know? And, and this guy was like, oh yeah, they did find his body. Actually, they found his remains at the bottom of this cliff. And so I finally got closure on that. Oh my God, the guy died. Like we could have saved his life. We were trying to, you know, you don't want to hike at night. That's the lesson. That's the lesson. You got to leave before the sun disappears, because you'll never find your way out of here. It's crazy, dude. That dude died out there. It's so sad. But they didn't find his remains for a long time. Isn't that crazy? Maybe, huh? I love you, Creek Mary. That's great. I love that. No one in the world has a clue what happened to you. Out there on the edge of the Sierra Nevada, I could see the other side. But the valley was wide, where the ocean used to flow. But you could end it all with one fall. Splat. Maybe he was a spirit. Maybe he's just been living that whole thing over and over. Maybe I have been too. The whole experience kind of seemed like, looking back on it now, it just seems so like, I don't know, it just seems like a book that I read or something. It's a trip. I have a picture of that mountain. I think it's on my fridge upstairs. Split Mountain. It's really cool, man. That whole fucking trail is just amazing. Me and my girlfriend went out to Mammoth Mountain last summer, to Devil's Post Pile, where they have the basalt columns. That's on the John Muir Trail. That's the only reason I knew about that place. And it was cool going back out there. Because when I went through there before, the basalt columns were cool, but I just didn't really care that much about them back then. I was just like barging, you know, hiking. And there was hot springs pretty close to that area. There was like 15 miles from Devil's Post Pile. And that's what we were like, making a beeline for that, you know. And so I didn't really care about the basalt columns at the time. But then later, you know, becoming educated about them, like, you know, me and my girlfriend, you know, just like as truthers, it's like you hear about the basalt columns and you see those pictures, it's like, oh man, I want to go there. I want to see that shit in person. I'm like, I've been there before. I just didn't care when I was there. But it's cool going back there and seeing them. It's like at the top, there's like this this whole cluster of them, and then you can go hike up to the top of them. I'm so bummed. I had a cool video of it, and my channel got deleted. But it's like I don't have the video anymore. But you can walk on top of them, and it looks like a tile floor because it's like all these hexagonal columns all that fit together perfectly, all mathematically, And on top, it's all like been leveled. I don't know if somebody cut it. I don't think so. I mean, it's just on the top of them that's all flat, and it looks like you're walking on this really nice, well put together tile floor with all these hexagonal tiles, because you don't see that they're all big columns. When you're on top, you just look like you're walking on a tile floor. It's so cool. It looks so trippy. It totally doesn't look natural at all. But it's the result of volcanic activity. Whatever. I'd like to see that happen. This song yesterday is funny. Flip flopping, waffling people. I forget how it goes now. Flip flopping, waffling people do the opposite thing the next day. Flip flopping, waffling people can't trust a word they say. My ears are so annoying right now. It's like I might even not be able to continue doing this because it's so annoying. I can't talk and my voice is echoing. You know what I mean? You ever have that happen to you? It's so annoying. I hate it. Up off the ground. You think something's lost, I think it never really was found. Life can get hectic. Should expect it. But don't be so hard on yourself. Don't beat yourself up. 'Cause what doesn't kill you only toughens you up. If you like it rough, if you like it rough, you'll like this stuff. If you like it rough, you'll like this stuff. Pull yourself together before you decay. Save yourself from slipping away. This is embarrassing. Alright, I'm over it. I gotta change the strings on this fucking thing. It's just not. I mean, this is awful. It sucks. I'm sorry. off to now. What did you do to help yourself forget about the things, all the things I can't forget? And did you forgive yourself? And will you forgive everyone else? It's taking all you got to get by. I hope you don't plan on disappearing. Don't plan on disappearing. I hope you don't plan on disappearing soon. Where did my runaway dog run off to now? What did you do? So anyways, what are you guys doing? Yeah, tree roommate. I've heard that. Yeah, I mean, yeah, totally. But like, I don't know if that's true. I mean, I think basically this is what I think about rocks. I think all rocks used to be something else. I could be wrong about that, but I'd like to make that statement just for the record. I think all rocks used to be something else. And in most cases, I think it used to be something that was alive. Like whether it just be like compressed dirt that that used to be animal remains or leaves from a tree or whatever, shells from whatever. And it's just like the mishmash of life, that's just dead. That became inert matter, just became dirt, and then compressed over time. And then there's other cases of things petrifying, where you see things that were obviously, whatever it is. I mean, it's like, do you know about the I think it's called the Black Hills, and it's like Dakota, I guess. It's the large. I just recently found out about this, but it's the largest like petrified forest that that's known, and it's like there's fucking remains of trees. There's petrified wood, and it's like trees that were like a fucking half-mile wide and shit. I mean, it's evidence of these big trees, and it's just like totally swept under the carpet. I mean, as a truther, I didn't even hear about it till just recently. And I saw pictures. I'm like, holy fuck, we got to go there. It's pretty close to where that Devil's Tower, that famous basalt column thing. But it's insane. The pictures that I was looking at was like, oh, it's obviously, and it's already been proven to be petrified wood, and it's evidence of trees that were like fucking insane. It's called Black Hills. It's in Dakota. It's hard to find, pictures of it and stuff, but we actually finally found it. I saw a video about it that someone put up. Sage of Quay blog. It's called Sage of Quay News Blog. Sage of Quay, Quay. It's Mike Williams. He has a news blog, and he puts up, like stuff that we would like to, just anybody that watches my show would love to watch any of the stuff that he puts up on there. It's like I refer to that blog daily because there's always some cool video up there, at least one. Sage of Quay News Blog. Shout out to Mike Williams. He's the guy that does the whole like, the Beatles, like Paul is dead conspiracy. He specializes in that. Paul McCartney's dead. It's Billy Shears. They even told you in their music, introducing Billy Shears. And so There's a song where they introduce the new guy. It's fucking crazy. It's so weird. So weird. He's not the real Paul. There's there's so much evidence that speaks to that. It's just ridiculous. Not to mention that like his DNA doesn't match with the real Paul. Like there was some dispute with like I don't know, and that he got arrested somewhere, I think in Japan for like pot or whatever, like back in the day, and it's like Paul McCartney did, and there was some like confusion because his fingerprint didn't match Paul McCartney. It's like they couldn't verify that he was Paul McCartney, and like he eventually had to get some his managers, his handlers came out and cleared it up, and got him out. But like there's stories like that where it's like, wait a minute, that's kind of fucked up. This isn't Paul McCartney. He says he is, but he doesn't match the fingerprint. There was even like, I think there was something to do with like I don't know what it was. It was someone checked. Like I thought it was some case where there was like a DNA like test done. I forget what the story was about that. Some paternal thing they're trying to prove that like I forget. Maybe that was a different story. I don't know. I don't want to say that one if I don't know it for sure. But Paul McCartney died, and they had this other guy, this replacement. Like, because what happened with the Beatles was they got big and famous, and they had this music they were doing, they were a package of boy band. My parents will kill me if they hear me saying this. But like, their album Rubber Soul was written, recorded, mixed, and pressed within the course of a month. Available on vinyl. That doesn't happen. No, you can't do that, especially an album that good. No, that's a lie. That's bullshit. And so there's shit like that with the Beatles where it's like, okay, wait a minute. No, fuck you. You can't convince me that that's true. And and it's like, so here they were like this famous band, and they were like, all the girls would go crazy, and they pack venues, and they're at the peak of their career, and then they just stopped touring. They stopped doing it. No, sorry, no more. What? Some time goes by, and then they come out with their psychedelic. They've rebranded themselves, and they're this psychedelic rock band now. And it's like they're a whole different look, a whole different look. They're all psychedelic, all hippied out, all crazy, psychedelic, weird. And their music style has changed, and their whole thing has changed. And they don't play any more live gigs anymore. No more live gigs, and their whole look is different. They're just a different band now, And it's like, and we're not gonna play live for you anymore. Okay, weird. That's the real history of what happened with the Beatles, and their album they came, it's the Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club. Like, we're back with Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band, and that's the album where they tell you like Billy Shears, it's like, and introducing, it's like the new guy Billy Shears, and they even tell you in their fucking song. Man, it's just weird. It's some weird shit. I'm out of cigarettes. I gotta go get a cigarette. You guys want to hang out? All five of you. Talk amongst yourselves and stuff. You're not too far from where? Dakota? Where the hell are you? South Dakota, Black Hills? Yeah. Well, how about that? So do you know about the Black Hills then? Minnesota. Yeah, you gotta go there and check it out. Me and my girlfriend are planning a trip there for sure. Maybe when we come out there, we can meet up. I'm gonna go get a smoke. Please hang out. I'll be right back. Hi, baby, I love you. Sorry it took me so long. My girlfriend's going to work. I had to say bye. I brought my book because I want to read funny stuff out of my book or just cool shit. I'm always finding funny stuff in here. It's just that I amuse myself with. Some of it's kind of dumb, you know. It's just like I'll do free writes. Like I took this writing, it was like a writing class when I was in junior college, and one thing I liked about it was every day that we met, it was like 3 days a week. We had when we first got to class, we would do like I think it was like a 10-minute free write, maybe it was 5 minutes, I forget, but where the rule was you had to just start writing and you can't lift your pen off the paper, you know. And the teacher would walk around and she'd make sure you were writing, and like so it was like this challenge to just write, you know, and like you could think about what you wanted to write before you got there, but once you got there, you had to start and just write and write and write. And you can't stop writing. You just had to fill the page, you know, and just for the whole time period that she allowed it. And it was like, at first it was kind of, you know, kind of annoying or kind of difficult, but you get good at it, you know, and it's like, and the thing is that she would force you to read, you know, it's like, that was the deal. You had to become comfortable with your writing. And so she would like, you have to read what you wrote to the class after you're done. So we go, I was like part of the class. You do this free write where you just write whatever's on your mind and just write freely for 10 minutes. And then you have to read what you wrote to the class, or you could have her read it out loud. But I had fun with that one, you know, and it was like, it was a real challenge to like fill that, to just write for 10 minutes without lifting your pen, you know, without stopping, basically. You had to like have, you know, at first it was difficult. It was really hard, but like after you know, you prepare yourself, once you start learning how to prepare yourself for it, like you just think, you know, I'm going to go in there and like, I could just be like, for instance, I'm going to tell the story about my backpacking trip. You know, I could just start writing and, you know, I already know what I want to say out the story, you know. You just have to choose something to write about, or sometimes I would just write whatever's on my mind. It would be totally disjointed and random weird shit. And so I've kept that exercise with me ever since that class. And I'll do that. Sometimes I'll just start writing, you know. So a lot of my stuff is really just random and weird. Other times I'll be playing with words and being a wordsmith of sorts. Some of it is just so weird. I guess I'll read this out loud. Oh, here's a challenge. This is something that was fun. I do sometimes. I'll do like this alphabet poem or whatever. It's like you have to come up with one word for every letter of the alphabet and just go in alphabetical order. You know, like all boys crave, you know, whatever. You know, you just have to come up with one word for each letter, and it's difficult because by the end, you know, X and Z, and it's kind of tricky, you know. But like, I have a bunch of them that I've done. Here's one: almost bought completely, demoting every free, good-hearted individual. Justified kids laughing maniacally, noticing our plight, quickly returned satisfied that uneasy voices wouldn't cross yesterday's zeros. The X being the cross, you know. X is the hardest one. I have some good ones in here. Here's the one. Another burnt, chronic, dank, easy, fatty, ganja, highest irations joint. Kindness loving Mother Nature one, people questioning righteously straight through uncharted valleys, wilderness, crossing your zenith. Here's another one. Arrogant bastards, caged detainees. Each foregone ghost hurried into jail. kicking like mindless knacks. Oblivious people quickly reach sleep. To us, vindication was crossing your zeros. I guess I used that one too. Crossing your zero. I have some other ones where I was actually able to come up with a good X word to fit in. I know I've done that before. Let's see where I have a bunch of these. As buttons can do each few good, hold it just kind of loosely, moving nude, only partially equipped, really sexy, truly uplifting us. I can't read my. Something about a vineyard winery. Yanzu. That one doesn't make any sense. They're fun. That's a fun thing to do. It's a challenge. Hold on, I want to find something good here. We live in a bass-ackwards, upside-down clown world where everything that matters has been inverted, perverted, subverted, herded like cattle, or simply blown out like a candle in the wind. Commandeering it all. Elite overdrive. The small fuse britches get bigger as it becomes more and more obvious. Oh, I can't say that out loud. All matters have been taken into the hands of Black Lives, a contrived entity of grudges and grievances with an overreaching power grab. See what I said is it becomes more and more obvious that Bill Gates is a rhymes with bigger. If anyone is, he is. My words are my weapons. My guitar is my axe. My axe is my weapon. I don't know what that was all about. Well, the good news is the bad news is bullshit. Except for no, the good news is the news is bullshit, except for this news, of course. Thank God, because I've heard enough bad news to fill 2 lifetimes. It started to seem suspect when the news was telling everyone to wear face safety masks and goggles and lather and hand sanitizers everywhere we go. Just a wee bit paranoid, you think? Makes a tinfoil hat look like child's play. Next time some drone motherfucking hypochondriac tries to attack me with hand sanitizer, I'm gonna have to break out my trusty baseball bat. Don't roll your eyes at me, bitch. If that's how you roll, then roll it up. Go roll yourself in saran wrap. Fall victim to whatever trap that's in your path. It's been set there for your ass only. Have a nice snare. I wrote this after somebody attacked me with hand sanitizer one day. I went to this store where I usually bought spray paint. It's like because I buy like the good spray paint to do art with. It's expensive. It's like this little corner pocket, little fucking art supply store. It's super expensive, but they had all the good paint in there. And I used to be like I used to frequent that place. I was like I was a patron of that store called Lynn's Arts and Crafts. It's in Santa Cruz. I used to go there all the time and spend lots of money. Like I go in there, I spend like $100, $200 every time I go in there. And I don't go there anymore because they attacked me with hand sanitizer one day and I thought it was fucking weird. And they also asked me if I was vaccinated before letting me in one time. And I'm like, man, you guys are... I was like, you treat me like I have the plague? This is how you treat your customers? Fuck you, I'm not coming back. I left them a bad Yelp and I just said, I'm never coming back here again. You guys suck. I'm not gonna fucking wear a mask. I'm not gonna fucking get injections just so I can come in your store. And the dude tried to, like, he seriously was trying, he was like trying to squirt hand sanitizer. I'm like, no, I don't want to put that shit on my hands. I was like, look, my hands are cracked. They're dried because I paint a lot. I'm an artist. Why do you think I'm in here? My hands are cracked. You put that shit on my hands, it's going to hurt like fucking hell. Have you ever put fucking hand sanitizer on cracked hands? You wish you hadn't. So don't attack me with that shit. He was trying to squirt on my house, all no thanks, and he's trying to do it anyways. I'm like, no, stop. Like, what the fuck are you doing? You're trying to hurt me. Like if he had actually gotten that stuff on my hands, it would have hurt like a bitch, and I probably would have socked him in his head. It's just like, natural instinct. Like someone hurts you, and you hurt them back. Fucking, like, dude, don't try to do that to me, man. And he followed me around the store trying to get me to put a mask on, and finally I just left. Like, you guys suck. You just earned yourself a bad Yelp, and you lost a customer. Hope you're happy with yourself. Fucking idiots. Fucking paranoid fucking morons. It's the thing when you're a flat earther. The best thing about being a flat earther, you don't get myocarditis. It's like a bumper sticker. It's just so dark, though. I don't even want to say that out loud in public, really. It's like, oh, it's super rare. You think that it's a good idea to risk your heart, so basically your life, to protect yourself from something that doesn't exist, that's fake. I mean, what a sham. They're trying to fix what ain't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. They want to fix what ain't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. We need more arms. Yeah, we need more arms. We need more arms to roll up their sleeves. We need more arms to protect you from disease. We need more arms. Yeah, that's what we need. We need more arms. Please. They want to fix what ain't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. They want to fix what ain't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. They want to fix what ain't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. It's about the size of it. They wanted to fix what wasn't broken to protect you from something that doesn't exist. That's the kind of logic we're dealing with. It's the same kind of logic, it's like, oh, you think the earth is flat? Well, how prove it? How could you prove it? Obviously, you have no proof of that. What? You're telling me I have no fucking proof that the earth is flat and stationary? I mean, are you fucking listening to the words coming out of your mouth? Are you so fucking heavily and thoroughly indoctrinated as to not notice the world around you? To not realize the reality of the situation? Are you that heavily indoctrinated to where you don't see that isn't a claim? That doesn't... Flat stationary earth isn't a claim. It's the fucking objective reality. And I don't need to prove that. If you're saying something that conflicts with that, well, that's what you need to prove, because that's the objective reality. And at the end of the day, they have to treat this place as though it were the place they say we're crazy for thinking that it is. They think we're crazy for knowing that it is. Well, what is it? Apparently, it's not what it appears to be. According to everybody else. But I would be so brave as to say I don't mind being the guy to run against the grain. I've been backwards ever since the day I came into this place that appears to be completely flat and stationary. But they will laugh at you and say you must once upon a bent space and time, where you can curve in a straight line. Put a dumb idea in your mind and think it's true. People call, say it's not true at all. The earth is flat, it ain't a ball. He thought they all were just kidding you. And you used to laugh about all of us flat earthers hanging out. But now you don't talk so loud. Now you don't seem so proud. Now that we've proved to you it isn't real. Whoa, how does it feel? Yeah, how does it feel? Find out your home, safe here under the dome. It's the stationary zone. Well, you went to the same school we all did, that's cool, but you never really learned anything true in it. No one ever taught you how to go out and prove something. You just got used to it. Now you seem to be compromised as you stare into the vacuum of the sky and say to yourself, this isn't real. Oh, how does it feel? How does it feel? Find out your home, safe here under the dome. It's a stationary stone. They never turned around to see the frowns on the Neil deGrasse clowns when they played their tricks on you. But you never understood that it ain't no good. You shouldn't let other people tell you what the fuck is true. You used to be so amused at the Apollo moon landings and the space station that they use. I don't know, I kind of run out of words. But you get the point. It's a stationary stone, not a rolling one. Like a stationary stone. I wonder if Bob Dildo is rolling over in his... Oh, he's not dead yet, is he? Never mind. And his name ain't Bob Dildo. I just like to call him that. Because it's not his real name anyways. It's Robert Zimmerman. He's a Jew. Not a fucking Jew. Whoa. At least he's not a paranoid Jew. 'Cause they're rude. Those paranoid Jews. They're so rude. You paranoid Jew. You're being rude. You paranoid Jew. What are you gonna do about it anyways? Fucking paranoid Jew. Paranoid Jew, you're so rude. And you don't know what you're saying is even true. Paranoid Jew, you think we're all out to get you just because you're a Jew. But that's not true, man. You have just become so paranoid. And you think everything is inherently anti Jew. Yeah, you're so rude. You paranoid Jew. What are you gonna do about it anyway? Fucking paranoid Jew. I don't know, I'm still working on that one. Oh, you paranoid Jew. I think it'd be a funny song, you know, because they're so paranoid. I think the whole world's like anti-Jew, you know, and when in reality, I don't think anyone gives a fuck. Like of all of, you know, the racism that's taking place, or you know, for what it's worth, I mean, there is some racism, yes, but like I haven't really seen any racism against Jews other than the World War II atrocity that we've been taught about, which the information they always leave out of that whole story is the fact that the Zionist Jews were working with the Nazis. That's how they got their Israel. They were actually working with the Nazis. And it was really controversial at the time. It's still controversial. That's why they don't tell you about it. And I have in mind to believe that perhaps the Zionist Jews were the evil element of the Nazis, rounding up all the non-Zionist Jews and killing them. Because it just so happens that the Zionist Jews today are like a fucking carbon copy. It's a perfect match with the behavior of what we were told the Nazis were like. Like their behavior today is a perfect match of what we were told the Nazis, how they behaved. You know, concentration camps, ruthless murder, just outright just genocide. You know, and and it's just so interesting how they have the same exact behavior as the people that they claim. I mean, does anyone else notice that? I mean, they've been gaslighting the whole world for like fucking 100 years. Well, not quite 100 years, but still. I mean, it's like, it's kind of fucked up. There was a certain point in Hitler's, you know, reign where his whole thing like took a turn for the dark. Like his whole thing went dark. Like he got obsessed with the occult. And it just so happens that point in time was right when the Zionists started working with the Nazis. The Zionists, the Aleister Crowley, the whole like satanic movement. It's dark, dude. Those Zionists are the Nazis, in my opinion. You know, I mean, I think they were the evil element of the Nazis, and they just had the Nazis take the fall for them while they got their Israel. They won, you know. But they were working with the bad guy. I mean, just that alone, it makes you think like, well, wait, what? They were working together? I was under the impression they were being murdered by them. Like, what? They were working together? So what really went down? That's interesting. And it's just weird because, you know, when I was watching the way the Zionist Jews are behaving today, I was just like, man, it's like they became their own worst enemy. It's like they became the thing that they claim they want to fight against. Or maybe they were always that. I mean, it's kind of hard to miss at this point. Am I tripping or what? Ashkenazi. Yeah, exactly. Oh, wow. I love you guys. You guys are great. I mean, is that not just like the most bold, like in your face fucking. Oh, man, it's just so dark. They just came in, they're like, they're all trying to hurt us. Put up a big wall around them all. Okay, now they're all down here. Now they can't hurt us. They're being so mean. Like, oh, that's their land. Well, no, we were given this land by God. And they're trying to hurt us, so we got to keep them all in here. Now we can keep an eye on them. And they hurt us really quick, and then we got to go get them. We're going to go kill them all. We don't care now. They hurt us. Well, technically, you occupied their territory, and they have a legal right to armed resistance. That's the Fourth Geneva Convention, all that kind of thing, that whole international like agreement, it's like where like if you're on occupied territory, you have a right to an armed resistance, which is what they did to you. However much of an atrocity you might think it was, or that it might have or may not have been, it's still they had an actual legal right to do that, which is it might seem pretty crazy or dark or something, but like that's the reality of it. Like when someone occupies your area, you have a legal right agreed upon by the entire civilized world to an armed resistance. And that's exactly what happened on October 7th. I don't even think that's what happened, honestly. I think what happened was Israel attacked itself so they could have an excuse to go bomb the fuck out of a bunch of people. People that they had like in a concentration camp that they were completely in control of. They cut off all their food and water and electricity. It's like, wow, you guys are pretty mean. I mean, at what point do you have to say, like, okay, is revenge, is that like, getting revenge, is that really like the higher ground, like protecting yourself is one thing, but revenge, is that where I thought, growing up, I thought I was taught that that wasn't really the best way to go about life, trying to get revenge, seek revenge. It wasn't really like a noble thing to do necessarily, I mean, it's the thing that people do, but it's like, it's not really like, it's probably one of the 7 deadly sins or something, it doesn't lead you to a good place, really. Like, it turns you into the thing that you claim you hate the most. So it's like, at what point do people just say, hey, well, this isn't protecting yourself. This is more like revenge, and it's gone way beyond, it's like, just if you were just to tally up the death toll, on both sides, it's like, clearly you've gone beyond revenge at this point. And not that revenge is even a justifiable excuse to, I mean, it's like, I don't think that really holds up, morally, like, because there's so many, like, thousands of people that were completely, like, swept up in the chaos of it and killed needlessly over something they never did. So it's like, is that really revenge? I would just call that cold-hearted murder, because you didn't find the people that did what they said they, you didn't go out and make a point to find all the people. I mean, you have the best surveillance system in the world. You could have fucking identified some of those people that did what you say they did and made a point to go and flush them out and get them. But no, you just went and fucking bombed everyone. Whoops. Like, I don't think that checks out, really, I mean, it's like, just on its face, like, how could you, like, make an argument for that, really? Like, it's, like, in a civilized world, and if that were to happen, you would fucking take the footage of, of the attack and like, facial recognition, all that kind of AI business, you'd figure out who those people were that attacked you. I mean, I've seen the videos. You can see the people. It's not like it's hard to see them. I mean, they're on video. So it's like you would find those people, you would go and flush them out. They got to be somewhere. You'll find them and put them to the law. Justice would be upheld or whatever. Versus just going and just indiscriminately bombing places that you think they might be hiding or something, But it's like what happened to like that kind of, if you're protecting yourself, you think you'd want to get the criminals that attacked you instead of just going and bombing a bunch of people, and hoping that you got them, kind of thing. Just kind of like, well, hopefully we got them. We got a bunch of people. We must have gotten them somewhere in there. Like, that's sort of like evil, You can't explain that away as being like a noble, like a justified act. Like, a justified act would have been to identify the perpetrators and go and root them out and find them, even if it took your 10 years or whatever, just go find them, flush them out and punish them, whatever, bring them to justice for what they did, versus just like, carpet bombing and like an entire civilization, like, of people that were like basically trapped in your little fence, your fenced in area they can't leave. It's a little bit evil, don't you think? It kind of reminds me of this one thing I heard about in school. It was called, the Holocaust. Yeah, that thing. I'm surprised I'm still alive. I'm surprised my show is still on. I'm saying things that I shouldn't be saying out loud. But that doesn't get you censored. It's so weird. I mean, maybe I'm speaking too soon. I don't know. You get censored for saying a bad thing about a jab, but you can talk all day about Nazis and Hitler, and everybody's all careful about doing that when they talk on YouTube. But I've gone on long tirade tangents about pushback about it. And I find that to be weird, you know, the ADL and all this fucking, you know, all the mainstream babbling about how the Jews are the, you know, we need to protect the Jews and like look out for the Jews, and the Jews are so downtrodden and mistreated, and we need to be like, you know, supporting them in their efforts to protect themselves. And like I'm sitting here claiming like, no, we don't want to support that shit. That's genocide. Behaving the way the supposed Nazis behaved. I think they're just behaving the way they behave, and that's, you know, that's who the Nazis were. Those guys. I mean, it's like an ideology that didn't die with World War II. You know, it continued in Israel, the place known as Israel now. It's actually not even really a legitimate country, because here's the thing: they can't even be acknowledged as being a legitimate country because they refuse to declare any boundaries. That's the reality of the situation. I mean, those fucking Jews know no boundaries, literally. Those Zionist Jews, let me be specific. There's plenty of Jews that are just probably decent people, you know, but I don't think there's any decent Zionist Jews. I don't think they allow decent people into that movement. I think that whole thing is just, you know, a bunch of evil people. I don't think they let people into that movement as being like people that are morally upright or something. I think the whole thing is just corrupt to the core. It's dark. It's like, it's evil. Perhaps the darkest evil of all. Of all. You all know who we are. You all know who we are. You all know who we are. You all know a Harari. We're going to make the elitists will make a technological Noah's Ark of sorts to survive the coming tribulations. Oh, that's convenient for you guys. And it just so happens that your middle name is Noah. And you talk shit about the Bible and God and the Sky Daddy and shit. You want to be we're going to be our own intelligent designers, designed by our intelligence. It's going to be so much better that way. You all know Harari. You all know who we are. You all know who we are. You like my conspiracy magnets? Moon rocks, earthquake, tidal wave, pseudoscience, dark side of the moon, International Space Station, Freemasons. Where's flat Earth? Come on, it's got to be here somewhere. There it is. Whoop whoop woody whoop whoop whoop. UFO, get that out of here. Flat Earth. Flat and stationary plane. That's where we remain. Fluoride. I thought I just saw dinosaurs. Pulling the strings. St. Elmo's Fire. What the fuck is that? It's a song. Neil Armstrong, right? Neil and the Grass, thy son. Stationary Pizza. Hey, welcome to the show. Thank you for coming. Say hi to everybody. I thought I saw Sue Fanelli in here. I love you, Sue. You're great. If you're still here. Maybe I didn't see Sue. Anyways, you're all great. I love all of you. Thanks for coming to my show. So cool. So much fun. So much fun. Astronomer. That's conspiracy. These are conspiracy magnets, by the way. That's what they were sold as being. And it came with this handy dandy. It's more like just like making fun of conspiracy theorists, actually, because it came with this thing here. The how to make your own tinfoil hat. It came with a piece of foil too. It's funny. Join the conspiracy. No, we're not trying to join the conspiracy. Like, talk about misrepresenting us. No, we're trying to say there's a lot of conspiracies taking place, which seems perfectly legitimate claim to make. It's like, to say there's no conspiracies is basically to say there's no crime. Like, there's no crime. Because just about every crime that takes place that involves more than one person is a conspiracy by definition. Because you're breaking the law together, you know, and doing so without trying to advertise it, so it's a conspiracy. So they do exist, it turns out. Yep. Oh, excuse me. I don't. Don't try this at home. This thing is clogged. Well, shit. Hold on. I'll be right back. I'm sorry. The big secret is that there is no big secret. So it's not really a secret because there isn't one. When is an astronaut gonna address us? Like, I'm getting tired of this shit. We've been treated like we're idiots by the mainstream. But there's famous people coming out saying the earth is flat now on the world stage. When are the astronauts going to defend their fucking shit? Their claim they're being called liars. They're not even going to address it? I'm sorry, but like, on the playground or whatever, in real life, you look pretty guilty in that kind of situation where you make this grandiose claim and you have all this, videotape of you doing this thing. And then somebody else in the playground is like, no, that shit's all fake. That's all lies. And then you're just, hanging out on the playground. It's like, do. People are like, did you hear what they said? You're a liar. You said it was all fake. Huh? What? So space is great. It's so grand. And it's like, you see the earth. It's so fragile and small. They called you a liar. What? Oh, I got to go real quick. Like, if you don't address it, you're a fucking... Dude, you just stand out like a sore thumb. That guy's full of shit, dude. He's been called a liar. He's been called out as being a fraud. And he won't even address it. He won't even, and he won't even come out in here and say, hey, look, I know I told you all that this shit's real, and he told you that it's fake. But, it's fucking real. And what do I got to do to prove it to you? If you guys think that I'm lying, no, tell me what to do so I can prove it to you. It's fucking real. If you're not going to own it at the point when you're being called out on the world stage that you are also on the playground, in my simile or my likeness, my comparison or whatever, I'm like saying, like, in real life, if in a situation where there was like, we're all on the same stage together, and like someone says that you're lying and you don't address it and stick up for your claim, well, then it kind of defaults to you just being a liar. Like, it's just like, that's pretty much, that's kind of how it works. Like, if someone calls you a liar and you're all on the same level, same playing field, and you just kind of ignore it, you look like a liar. You don't address the accusation. And you just continue making all these claims, in the face of being accused of being a big liar. You don't say, hey, don't call them out and say, hey, no, don't call me a liar. I'm not lying. You don't even address it. Well, in any other situation, you're just going to be looked at as a liar from now on, because people just like, well, you got called out and he didn't even want to try to stick up for himself. It's pretty stupid. That's pretty embarrassing. I'm pretty embarrassed for them, actually. They just kept making all these claims. Wouldn't even address the fact that there's a huge group of us that are just calling him a liar. Just continued talking about all these lies. It's like, that just wouldn't fly in real life, like in the real world where people are like forced to like play on the same level together, but like when you control the mainstream information, like you just pretend that, but it's even being broadcast in the mainstream now, it's like the fucking famous people, the basketball players or whoever else has said the earth is flat. They're saying that astronauts are liars, and it's being broadcast on the same stage that the astronauts are broadcasting their lies on. and for some reason it's just hasn't they haven't noticed or they haven't felt that it was necessary to address that there's a huge portion of society now that don't believe him, like a huge portion, like we're talking like countless. It's not a quiet little group anymore at all. It's actually entered the mainstream consciousness, and which means like pretty much everybody knows about it now. Kind of like it's like when something becomes saturated in the media, like it's like they're making a point for everyone to know about that thing. It's like they're trying to. It's like spell casting. It's like if everybody in the world is thinking about the eclipse when it happens, then our spell magic works, or something. It's like they got to get as many people thinking about this thing as possible because they're trying to focus their attention, everybody's attention on this one thing. They're trying to some kind of manifestation or some kind of black dick ritual of sorts. Because when the media becomes saturated with something, it's just heavily saturated and it's just unavoidable. You just hear about it everywhere you go, and everybody's talking. It's clear that that's been scripted. And as far as I'm concerned, it's like that's unnatural, for one topic to be permeating every stretch of the media. It's like that's unnatural. There's something going on there, right? Am I tripping? Am I tripping? But at the point now where it's like I don't even think that they're trying to stop, because for like a person to get up on the world stage and say the earth is flat now and have it be broadcast across the mainstream, it's like I consider that like they're allowing that to be spoken. They're like, it's almost as though that's part of the script, which is how I could see you could follow the conspiratorial mindset to think that maybe it's a psyop or something. But like, I'm sorry, if we have to look at it for what it really is, like, okay, the globe earth or the flat earth, they can't both exist simultaneously per definition. Like earth might be a globe, but the part we walk on is flat and it's not moving. But like as far as the spherical earth model that they're claiming, and then the flat earth observation that we're all noticing, it's like if one of those two things is a psyop, well, which one would it be? Like, just try to clear your mind of everything, all the chitter chatter. Just could it be the one that the establishment is in support of? The same establishment that's run every other fucking psyop that's ever been known? I wonder. Maybe I'll have to think about that. Derp. Sure, they want to co-opt the flat earth. Yeah, of course they do. Hence the Flat Earth Society. That's like a no-brainer. That's like surface level truth right there. I'm not a psyop, you know what I mean? And I didn't fall victim to one either in that case. I'm just noticing that the earth appears to be the opposite of what they claim it is. And that's interesting because I've noticed a lot of inversion, just in general. It's like, what truth in the news and lies in the news. Truth in the movies and lies in the news, it's like, that's kind of bass-backwards. Everything is bass-backwards. Get a bunch of mystery injections for your health. Injections that come with a risk of death. That's inversion. That's disturbing. It reeks of like Freemasonry or whatever, Satanism. Subvert all that's good. The whole like LGBTQ fucking agenda. It's like try to turn sex into this like confusing something beautiful and awesome. Turn it into like this weird, disturbing, kind of confusing thing. And like kind of push it on the kids. As being like something to think about, and like as though your God-given body is like, it's like it's subject to change, or it's like what maybe it wasn't designed correctly, like you can actually choose which sex you are, as though that was like an option. I mean, talk about disturbing. That's just like so fucking far from being correct and just so incredibly perverse and wrong. I can't even believe that was allowed to take place. But my cat's so talkative. He's cute. Look at, hi, Boat. Hey, Boat, say hi. What's up, Boat? His name's Boat. He's cute. He's Boat. His name is Banana. My kid named him Banana, but I named him Banana Boat, and I just call him Boat for short. His name is Banana, but I call him Boat. Smoke my bong. It's kind of clogged. So have you guys you guys like my idea for my children's book? I've been kind of ranting about it a lot lately. I think it's brilliant. You know, I don't want to be redundant and try to tell you the whole story all over again, but I like it because it's sort of sneaky. You kind of have to be sneaky to get into the mainstream curriculum, and that's my objective is to like sneak something into the mainstream curriculum for kids, at school. I'm not sure what age level I'm shooting for, maybe like third grade, fourth grade, maybe. They start teaching you about the globe Earth, right away. And my book is disguised as being like a book that teaches you about the globe, that also doubled as like a fable about greed. And so it seems like it's a valuable lesson for the children, teaches them about greed and how it's not good. You end up with nothing. And it also teaches them about the shape of the earth, the globe that you live on. So it's so educational. And I'm sure they would love to have every kid in the world read that book, right? Because it has a good message. The thing is, the book is explained. I hold your hand through it, and I show you how fucking ridiculous the globe model is, and how fucking stupid it is to think that that's what we live on. But if you're just not privy to the fact that that's what I'm doing, like just a fully indoctrinated like drone, like is gonna look at it and be like, oh, it's a book about the globe. Oh, at the end of the book, you find out the Earth is a globe. Oh, okay, it's great. But like a clever kid will read that book and be like, what? It's like basically you find out the globe's a joke in the book, but it's just like you have to make that observation yourself, And so like I want people to read the book and then just have that in their mind as like, oh my God, that's ridiculous. And so therefore, whenever they, as they grow up and they're being taught the globe Earth, in the back of their mind, they're like, yeah, right. Yeah, we all read that book when we were kids, and it's stupid, man. That's a dumb idea, actually. But okay, I'll give you the correct answer. It's the globe, but yeah, whatever. I know what you want me to say, and I'll say that for you real quick, and then we'll go ahead and just, we don't really believe it because it's ridiculous. And if you read my book and you don't think it's ridiculous, well, then you're ridiculous. Because I'm gonna tell the story in just a way where you can't, you have to look at it and it's like, okay, that's ridiculous. You're gonna have to admit it. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, just you're on point. You're paying attention. The magic rabbit comes out and fucking the kid wins the prize, the concentric circle lottery. You're the winner! Yay! It's so great. And then, the story unfolds. And it's like, the rabbit's like, circling, and getting more and more property. Yeah, not the rabbit, the kid, the greedy kid, And so everyone is reading the book like, oh, I would do that too. I would just keep acquiring more space, and like, I want to tell a story in just a way to where it's kind of like how it would happen in real life. Like, there's a team of people he's got out there that he's hired because he's rich, at a certain point. He's got people like, that he pays to go make the next circle. It would take a long time to circle, Like at first he's doing the circles by himself, and then he starts owning like, a lot of stuff and he's collecting rent and, whatever. And he's getting all kinds of money. So he hires his friends to go work on the circles while he's busy just enjoying his riches, and like, and he's got another team of people that has to go around and do all the paperwork for all the businesses that are, the ownership's changing hands and shit. And so the whole world becomes like, plainly aware of the fact that there's this guy that won the circle lottery and he's like expanding, like the incredible expanding Andy or something. He'll have some name like that, where it's like sooner or later you're going to get engulfed by this guy's thing. He won the concentric circle lottery. So he's going to own your shit pretty much. At a certain point, you're just basically waiting for the circle to get to your area. keeps circling, owning more. He's just so rich, so gluttonous. Never once thinks about anybody else, only himself and his gluttonous greed. And he's just like, we're gonna own everything. I'm gonna own. Circling, getting bigger and bigger. A lot of time goes by. He's like, a middle-aged man at the point where he gets the phone call from his team. When like they do like yearly updates. Like here's all your new, all the new properties that you own. They'll go over all of it and show him all the new, the new acquisition. And then they finally get back to him. This is later, in life, and he's like a middle-aged person. He's filthy rich dirtbag, and like, hey boss, we got some kind of weird news for you, man. It's pretty messed up, and you might want to sit down because this shit's messed up. And I just gotta check with you again. Like, what was the rules of the game again? The lottery you won? He's like, oh well, I own what's ever inside the circle. That's why we just been expanding. He said I can make bigger and bigger circles. I can just own whatever's in the circle. So I just keep circling around and owning more. That's what we've been doing. So I own what's ever in the circle. And he said the only thing is I couldn't start going back the other direction. I can only move outward. So that's what we've been doing. We've just been expanding. And he's like, okay, well, if you only own what's in the circle, then this is really weird, man, because we just finished the circle and it's a smaller measurement than last year's circle. And here's the kicker, man. It's circling around a whole different area. I think you just lost everything you own. Like just like that, I think you just lost ownership of everything you own. But now you own a whole nother enormous fucking circle somewhere else. That's what our work is showing us. You no longer own that circle that you think you have. You're in a whole different circle somewhere else, and it's a little bit smaller than the one that you just had. But you just have to relocate. So he's like, what the? Rabbit never told me about this, I was like, what the fuck's going on? Are you sure you just traced around the last circle that we did? Yeah, we did. And we got a smaller circle, and it's in this whole different area. What? But, it's true. So he has to go and pick up and move his whole operation to this other place. And, but he's just like, I'll be back. I'm going to continue expanding, This is all I know how to do, And so he's like, I'm just going to keep the operation going, obviously. I mean, I don't know what happened here, but this is fucked up and weird. But, like, I still own, fucking incredible countries and oceans. And, I'm still king, but I'm just king in a different place. And so he's like, well, okay, let's get back to work, everybody. We're just in a different place now, So they continue with their thing, next year they get back to him and they're like, dude, this is fucked up, man. But this circle is even smaller than the last circle. Still within this same new circle, but we're within it though. It's like, and it's smaller. And so basically we have to report to you that you have zero gain this year. And in fact, you have nothing but loss. You lost all these properties. You didn't gain shit. What? He fires them, hires a new team. They're doing something wrong. Step outside of the boundary that you just did. We're moving away from where I first started. It's pretty easy to understand. So step outside of it and draw a new circle. Okay, and they get back to him. It's even smaller. And you have all this. Here's all the properties you lost. What? Every year, loss. And he's in denial. Like, I can't believe this is happening. What the fuck? He fires his team. Eventually, nobody even wants to work for him anymore. He's just like this washed up fucking slumlord, He only owns like a fucking, whatever, like a few districts or whatever. And he's like, fuck everybody. I'm going to go out there and I'm going to huff out there and do it myself. He's measuring out the next circle, They all did it wrong. I'm going to do it right. I'm going to expand like I was expanding, And he does the same thing. He moves, a step further away from where he started, his whole life ago, 30 years ago, but he knows what direction that was. It's pretty obvious. And then he makes a new circle around the outside of the boundary that he just had. And lo and behold, it gets smaller. He's just like in denial about it. He's so greedy and he wants to just continue just humping that buck. I want to own everything. And he just keeps doing it, even though he sees it, he's losing every time. And he just ends up in this little teeny circle all by himself with nothing again on the completely other end of the world, just fucking destitute fool with nothing to show for all his efforts. And then the rabbit pops up again. Hey, did you learn your lesson? And he's like crying, like, no, I didn't learn shit, man. I'm so fucked up. I hate you. I didn't learn my lesson. What's the lesson? Oh, well, your lesson is that you live on a globe. Joke's on you, pal. That's what we're supposed to believe. That story is what we're supposed to believe would happen if the concentric circle lottery was a real thing, where people all had to agree to forfeit their ownership or whatever. That's what we're supposed to believe would happen. The circles just keep getting bigger. It's just, that's so dumb to think that would happen. All of a sudden we have a whole circle somewhere else. I mean, it's a head fuck. Like, if you consider the fact that the equator could be circling the southern hemisphere too, or the northern hemisphere. But once you move south of the equator, and say you started in the northern, well, then that next circle is going to be smaller, right? And it's going to be circling a whole different area. It's not you only own what's inside the circle. So all of a sudden you'd have to shift all the way over here. It doesn't make any fucking sense, dude. Anyways, I gotta go. I love you guys. Thanks for being here. Don't be strangers.